Hi everyone, this is Laelie again, bringing you another Innominatus video guide. This guide will outline the strategy to defeating Heroic Morchok, the first of the heroic bosses in Dragon Soul. If you are unfamiliar with the normal mechanics of the Morchok encounter, please click the link in the annotation above. The main difference in the heroic mode of this fight is that when Morchok is at 90% health, he will split into Morchok and his twin Kokrom. Both bosses will do the same abilities that Morchok does on normal difficulty, but Kokrom will do his abilities a few seconds after Morchok. Your raid will also deal with increased boss health and increased ability damage done to your raid. Your raid will also need to clear 4 additional packs of trash, 2 on each side of the road to allow enough space for the encounter. Your raid will need 2 tanks, 2 to 4 healers, and 4 to 6 DPS. Your raid will need to split into 2 groups consisting of a tank, 1 to 2 healers, and 2 to 3 DPS. Morchok and Kokrom will be positioned far apart on the opposite sides of the road, and one group will go with each boss, effectively making 2 5-man fights. Morchok and Kokrom have a shared health pool, so splitting DPS evenly isn't necessary. Your raid should try to split the groups up by composition to make sure both groups have the necessary buffs to survive the mechanics of the fight. Each group should have a good soaking class, such as a plate-wearing DPS or healer, and at least 1 to 2 range DPS. The flow of the fight is very similar to normal. In this video guide, we wait until Morchok casts 2 resonating crystals, and then push him past 90%, so that the first ability he will use after the split is Earthen Vortex. Once he has split into his 2 parts, the tank should quickly move them to each side of the road. Each group should make sure they are positioned on their sides already to minimize traveling distance. It is the job of the group members to make sure they are always within 25 yards of the boss. Since there is no frontal cleave, the best place for the group members to stand is right behind the tank with the exception of the melee DPS. The tank and the soaker should always be the 2 closest players to their respective boss. When resonating crystals appear, the 3 designated players need to stand as close as they can to the crystals to minimize the damage they take. The tank must also make sure to move the boss within 25 yards of those players to ensure stomp is spread evenly. Black Blood of the Earth is handled normally. Your healer should try and regen mana at this point because there is no healing to do. Ranged DPS should be hitting the boss if they can to maximize DPS. When Morchok and Kokrom hit 20% health, Heroism should be used. It is very important to note that the soaker will need some help to survive the stomp damage. Raid cooldowns and third-party cooldowns like Pain Suppression or Hand of Sacrifice should be used to make sure they are not one-shot by the stomp. Once both bosses reach 0 health, they will both die. Heroic Morchok requires good communication and coordination within each group, so your raid may find it useful to have each group in different channels of your voice communication client. This allows your groups to communicate incoming abilities without confusing the other groups since both fights are separate from one another. Once your tanks figure out positioning and every raid member executes your strategy properly, Heroic Morchok will fall. I have included the fight in its entirety to show the mechanics and strategy outlined in this video. Put on your Sunday dresses and have fun.